Do I hear dogs barking, Tom?
You do. Someone's home. Yeah. So the security detail is at full attention.
Yeah, it's good. Happy to hear that. Here at the compound.
I don't want to know about your imperfections, dude. Prefer to leave you on a pedestal so I'll improve. Because if I'm finding out, you know more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Basic AF, a mostly tech podcast, 95.2% of the time. Tom Anderson and Jeff Battersby here with you once again. Thanks so much for joining us. Jeff, how are you, sir?
I am very well, Tom Anderson.
Great. I do like to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm,
Getting into late
enjoying the last legs of summer.
Yeah, which it's been so hot. I'm ready for it to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then I'll start complaining that the days are too short. I hate the dark, and
you're cold.
Never content. There's about 8 weeks out of the 52-week year that I'm content.
Right. Good.
Like most of us.
And the rest of it, you're sleeping.
Yep. So we are on episode 42. Show notes for this episode can be found at basicafshow.com/42.
42.
All right.
42. And just a
it.
reminder at the top of the show, subscribe, like, do all those things in your podcast app. We are actually growing. We're starting to see a lot more downloads, and we really appreciate that. And we'd like more. We're avaricious. We want everything.
Yep. So to be fully transparent with you, dear listener, if we may, we have a goal of hitting 100 followers in Apple Podcasts. We are currently at 63. So tell your friends, please.
We would like 100. Plus, if you follow us in Apple Podcasts or any of those other places, it also pushes us up in the algorithm. It does. It's dumb, but that's the way it goes. We're starting to get people that we don't know listening to us, as opposed to my mother and
a couple coworkers I have and a few friends. So we do
very few
that.
friends.
And we like to say this often because we do. And there's a lot of places you can go for this type of content. And the fact that you'll hang out with us is greatly appreciated, because we know there's so many places vying for your attention these days. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
We do appreciate it.
So this show, we're going to talk about some software, some new software, some old software that is maybe being used by us again, and
or not.
The rock, paper, pencil we talked about last year. We're going to revisit that too. So Jeff, why don't you start us off? You've got a new little utility that you've been using and recommended to me, so I've downloaded it, but haven't spent a bunch of time with it yet.
Yeah, so there's a new little app called NotchNook by a company called IO Cafe. I think it's IO, not LO. And
IO or LO?
I don't know. Why use lowercase letters when you can use uppercase letters? I don't know.
We'll link it. Don't worry about it.
We'll give it to you. Right. And if you look at, it's LO maybe. It's LO Cafe, Low Cafe.
Low Cafe.
Because if you look at the bottom, they're using a different font. If you look at the bottom of their website, they're using a different font, and I can see what's there. Anyway, NotchNook, which is on version 1.2 as we speak, from Low Cafe, is a for Macs that have a notch, and apparently it also works with Macs that don't have a notch, but I haven't played with it in any way like that. What this does is enhances the abilities and capabilities of that notch. So it puts a little application that sits up around that, much like what you find on your phone with the, what was the island called, Tom?
The dynamic island.
Correct. It gives you a dynamic island for your...
which I struggled with last show.
Yes, you did. And so did I. Just struggle with it now, even though you just said it.
Now I'm second guessing myself if that's even right.
I think it is dynamic island. So what it does is it puts a dynamic island up there on your Mac. And it's really clever. A couple of other nice things about it. I mean, it can show media that's playing, and you've got the ability to look at what's going on and, skip through a song if you want to, or see what album you're currently playing, just like the dynamic island does on your iPhone. If you click it, it shows you more detailed information. You've got the ability, if you want to be able to rearrange that. The other thing that's kind of cool about it is it puts AirDrop right there at your fingertips, and it puts what's called a file tray there. So you can drag files to it and drag files from it. You can airdrop items by selecting the airdrop icon and sending things to people. Because I'm a sucker, I tweeted this out and got 35% off my 35% off on the price. So I only paid $16 and change for this. It's $25 I paid for it outright rather than do a $3 US monthly subscription because, good God, why do I want another subscription? But it's a slick little app, and even in the time that I just downloaded it, which was maybe a couple of weeks ago, they've done a ton of updating to it. So cool app. Low Cafe has a bunch of other apps on their site as well for a variety of things. But this is a nice use of that notch area, kind of making it not feel as useless as it usually is. So good stuff.
Now that this
highly
is
recommend it.
Yeah. Now that this is out, how long do you think it'll be till it gets Sherlocked? Because it seems so obvious that'd be a fun little thing to do. But
I don't know why Apple didn't do it in the first place. I'm going to be honest. You know, it should have been done. They should have been done that. So,
yeah. So I just downloaded that recently and haven't spent a whole lot of time with it, but it does look fun. You can place shortcuts up there too. So basically in that little notch area, they're what the developer calls widgets, and so you can arrange things in there. So you can do the calendar and shortcuts, and coming soon I think was reminders and something else. And that might be out by now. I don't know, but fun little app. Take a look at it. There's a trial of some length. I can't remember what it is, but have a look. All right.
Yeah, it's great. I highly recommend it, particularly if you have a Mac with a notch. It's good stuff.
Yeah, or even if you don't, you can pretend you do.
You can pretend. Pretend
like I could put
that
that
on many
I'll
things.
Put that on my Mac Mini and I'll have a notch.
Yes, you will.
Great. Okay, so there's one down. What's next?
One down. So beta testing in test flight. There's an app that both Tom and I have been looking at that we like a lot called Shareshot. Shareshot, what it does is looks at any screenshots in your from your phone or your iPad, any screenshots in your library. So it's only looking at the screenshots, and it allows you to put lovely little borders or nothing around the outside of it. It's a really clever, really quick little app that I like a lot when I'm taking screenshots and want to send that information off to other people. We both use on our Mac, and I always forget the name of this app, CleanShot Pro. There we go. I didn't for our CleanShot, which awesome on the Mac. But there has not been, up until now, with Shareshot, anything that is like that. And this is like that for your iPhone, or your iPad. So if you're taking a lot of screenshots, do I hear dogs barking, Tom?
You do. Someone's home. Yeah. So the security detail is at full attention.
Yeah, that's good. Happy to hear
Here at
that.
the compound.
Here at the compound. David Koresh. I mean, sorry, did I say that out loud?
And the pod closet is really the safety room, the panic room. Yeah. It's really not. I'm staring at my wife's clothes on the rack, but
is that a thing,
that's
Tom?
the dogs.
Staring at your wife's clothes?
No, they're right there. I don't have a choice. I get like space for 6 shirts, and then the rest is hers. But hey, she looks good in them, so that's fine.
There you go.
For the screenshots for iPhone and Watch, previously I have been using for quite a while now Federico Vitici's Apple Frames.
Love your dog.
Which is a shortcut.
Yes.
And yeah, the dogs are still going crazy. So hope you like dogs. And it's does a lot of that. But and he's done a really good job with updating and everything. So I've used that. But this is just a little bit simpler to be able just to launch the app, go in and grab it. Plus you get some additional features like the frames, the Apple Frame shortcut would put it in the device and it looks great and it has transparent background and everything. Shareshot gives you some options for lighting effects and backgrounds, and you can pick different watch band colors and things like that. So yeah, a lot of nice little details in there for that. So that one's worth checking out if you share screenshots.
Yeah, it is so you do have to be on test flight to get it. It's still in beta.
Yeah, at least at the time we record this, maybe it'll be out
correct
before, but I'm not sure what the beta schedule is. So if you're not, just keep an eye out for it. We'll tell you when it's in the store.
Yeah, and we may want to we may try to get the developer for this on because we like it a lot. So maybe in time for that. But yeah, it's really pretty slick. It has by default it has a bunch of frames that are built in. Right now, only one for an Apple Watch Ultra, but it has the orange beige trail loop on there, and so it throws that on as well. So it's really it's a really really good little app. And the nice thing about that is when you've taken a screenshot on a particular device, it already knows what device it is, and then shows you the potential frames for that. So you don't have to choose a frame. It doesn't put your iPhone screenshot in a Apple Watch Ultra frame. It's smart enough to know what device it was taken on and provide the right wrapper for it. So really like it.
Yeah, and he's been responsive for suggestions too, which is good.
Yeah. So there's one. Highly recommend.
Okay. All right. I see next on the list, Bartender.
Was this purchased by someone else? Read something about that and wasn't in a good way. I don't know. That's a fair question.
I feel like it was. I don't want to go on record and saying it was. So anyway, let's go with what you were going to talk about.
Yeah. Anyway, Bartender
is
an app that kind of cleans up what's in your menu bar. I've been using Bartender now for probably, and I think Tom, you're the one who recommended it to me. For probably
for a long time.
About a year. Yeah. It's a great little app. You can customize it in a lot of different ways to be able to basically have it display the information in your menu bar the way that you want it to. Hides most everything that you don't need until you click the little bartender icon. And then when you click the little bartender icon, it brings it up. I'm looking to see whether or not they were purchased by somebody. I don't see any news. Sorry.
I seem to read it was on Reddit. People were talking about it, and it may not be a bad thing that they sold it, but I don't know. It's Redditors too, so whatever. Let's not put too much into that, but yeah, that one's been around for a long time, and there's some other ones of those too. If you don't want to use that one, there's some options for.
There are several. I really like this one a lot.
Menu bar up, and particularly if you're on a MacBook with a notch, those tend to run over, and it's nice to just keep them tidy.
Yes, absolutely is. So I highly recommend that app. Really cleans up the menu bar. And somebody did acquire them. Okay, that's for another day. We can have a conversation about that in the future. And as of June 5th, it has been bought by somebody. I'm not going to read all this now, but yeah, they have been.
And again, not to say that's good or bad. We don't know anything, but some of the discussion was, we'll say, slanted, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out later. I have not noticed any problems, and did not even, nor was I at all aware that it was purchased. But so far, at this point in time, still one of my favorite apps. So you want to clean up your menu bar, I can recommend that. Good choices. Tom, this one's you.
We have talked at length in various episodes about note-taking apps and the ones that we like, ones we've used, ones we've stopped using, new ones we've started to use, and things that we like, things like that. I actually, in my newsletter a few months ago, did a piece, 3 alternatives to Evernote, which was Apple Notes, Craft, and Bear. And that's still up on my website if you want to check it out. But anyway, I've been using Bear for, last 10, 12 months. I think is about that long as my daily note-taking app. It is a wonderful app. It is a pleasure to look at. It is a pleasure to type in and work in. But I might be using Craft a little bit more of late.
Really?
Which I have
Why?
used before. Like I used that for a couple of years before I went to Bear, actually. And so Bear, as I've said, is great. But there are a couple of areas for me, and again, all of this comes down to user-specific things, like what type of notes you take, what type of things do you like, and everything. So again, this for me. And it is not a slam on Bear whatsoever. I still have the subscription. I'm planning to keep the subscription. And so the biggest thing, and we've talked about on this show a few times too, that when I've got kind of a big problem or a big idea or project that I'm trying to untangle, I like to sit down with the iPad, get the pencil, write it out, sketch it out, all that kind of thing, right? Do my heavy duty thinking like that. On the iPad app for Bear, you can do that, and it works okay. The handwriting part works just like you would expect anywhere else. Like it's fine. Where it kind of comes up short and falls apart for me is in the way that it's implemented in the application. So if you're on the iPad and you have Bear open and you've got your note there and you go to bring up a sketch, I think is what they call it, you get a tiny little box that shows up in the note that is maybe 2/3 of the width of the note that you're working in. And so that will depend, of course, because if you've got your tags and your note list and then your editor, it's going to be really small. But if you get rid of some of that stuff, it gets to be a little bit bigger. You can drag it down to extend it vertically, but you can't get it to go full screen. And also, if your hand kind of drifts off of the writing area, you can inadvertently go back into like typing mode, and then you've got to type mode again, start to write. And is it awful? No, it's not awful, and I don't want to project it that way. Is it a little limiting? I think it is, because I've got a 12.9-inch iPad, and I get this tiny little space to write in. Mm-hmm. And so that has been grating me a bit. So that's kind of the big thing. So by comparison, in Apple Notes and in Craft, if you go into a handwriting session, it will take that full screen. So I get the entire tablet display to work in. So that's just probably twice as much room to work. And I don't have to worry about inadvertently tapping out of it because my wrist touches somewhere funny, But I've also noticed that for one of the things that I use pretty extensively, and I think the reason this is coming up is we're in the busiest time of the year at work. So it's that beautiful time where summer projects have to meet their deadlines, and then the students are coming back, and we've got all that work around that. And in Craft, one of the things that I liked and used quite a bit is the way that you can have subpages inside of a note, which they call actually documents. They don't call them notes, I don't think anymore. But so you'd have a note, it would be ABC project, and you've got a bunch of text in there. To keep kind of the page organized, you can do a subpage. So you start typing, make this a new page, and then you get an entirely new canvas to work in that is, inside of the main document page. So it keeps things kind of orderly, especially for bigger projects where there's lots of things moving around. And so I've kind of missed that because I've run into that. Like the Bear notes just get, kind of long. And it does have the folding, right? So you can, if you're using headers and everything, you can kind of shrink some of that down. But the subpages thing isn't there. And I've missed that. I think Craft does better with the backlinking. So if you're working in a note and there's another note that you want to reference, Bear has it, but Craft will do it to the block level. So if there is a specific bit of text in a note, I can even link to that. Like it doesn't have to be just to a note. So, again, more of those, it's just a different philosophy. And then, one's not inherently better than the other. They're just different. And so I've gone back to it for a bit for that. for those reasons. Primarily, the tables are a bit more functional because Bear is a markdown editor. And so that's the beauty of it, but that's also some of the limitations, right? It's markdown and you get what markdown has. And it's great that it's true to markdown because that has benefits if you want to move things around. So that's where I'm at.
All right, cool.
We'll see. I think I'll probably just coexist with the two. Because I never canceled the craft subscription.
You never did?
No, because it's a few bucks a month, and I had stuff in, and I exported about half of it out. And to Craft's credit, with the text bundles, it imported in beautifully, and it goes the same way Bear does that too. So they interoperate very well, and so they're good. Nice. So we'll see. I don't know. There's to be determined.
Cool. All right. Rock, paper, pencil. You'll recall several months ago now, both Tom and I got a little, it's kind of like a screen protector with a special tip for an Apple Pencil that makes it so writing on an iPad is more like writing on paper. Thus the name Rock, Paper, Pencil. I have been using that on the regular. In fact, kind of amazing, but I was out in California late last year, a couple of times. And I'm in the middle of a pretty big writing project. And so as part of that writing project, I would trip off to the library when I was at my mom's house, and I would spend a couple of hours there, and then I would come back home to the house, and whatever I had worked on in the library, I started editing on the iPad because I didn't want to print out as I had done at home. Print out 4,000 pages on my mom's inkjet printer and feel responsible for that. And what's really amazing is when I started doing that hand editing using rock, paper, pencil on the iPad, man, it made a huge difference for me. I think I've mentioned before, the slipperiness of the iPad, just the iPad screen with that pencil screen. My handwriting stinks anyway, and that just made it stink worse. And just the fact that I have friction between the two, it's made it now that the only way that I edit documents is on the iPad. And the upside is I have, instead of a huge stack of paper with all my edited archives, I have folders for everything that I'm working on. I can go back and look at what I had done personally. So I am all in on rock, paper, pencil. I will say that if I'm watching, say a movie or something like that while I'm cooking dinner or doing something of that nature, I peel it off because it is clearer, on the screen when that's removed. But as far as the day-to-day when I'm working on the iPad, and I'm using the iPad now more and more for work, probably than I ever have, because of rock, paper, pencil and my ability to
look at that little detail you slipped in.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, and look at that.
Tommy?
We'll have to have Riley back on to talk about working with the iPad to give you some pro tips.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get you there, don't worry.
Riley's king of the hill. Riley knows what he's doing.
What you did
there. Cheers.
Have you had to replace any of the special tips that come with it? Have you worn any down?
It's not that I've worn them down. I dropped it once.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
And it made it scratchy. So I did replace that one. But
other
than
metal
that,
tip,
no.
I don't know how you would wear it down. I guess it's soft metal, but
yeah, no. But Tom, tell us about your rock, paper, pencil experience.
Yep. Don't disagree with anything that you said there. That it does make for a really, really nice writing experience on the iPad. My wife tried it. She liked it so much. We got one for her for the iPad she's using for school.
Nice.
And she likes it. I did really like it. And here's when I decided to take it off. So when the iPad Pro M4 models with the tandem OLED screens were announced and people started to get them and they were talking about how great the screen was. And I was like, oh man, I bet that does look nice. So I'd had that cover on for months and you get kind of used to it. And it's not a terrible effect, but it does mute the colors and it's not as sharp.
No,
So
100%.
I took it off just, because everyone was talking about how great the tandem OLED screens were. And they were like, yeah, but the micro LED screen on the M2s are still really nice too. So I took it off and I was like, holy smokes, that's really great. so I've left it off.
So now what you're telling us is you have an OLED display on your iPad.
The poor man's version, yeah.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Because I was like, whoa. And so I took it off. The other thing that was a minor irritation, wasn't a big deal for me though, was like I still was using gestures, like touch a lot with that on. And after a while, it gets a little smudgy, just like the screen does.
Yeah.
And you'd have to clean it, but it was just another thing. And then every once in a while, something would get kind of stuck underneath it somehow. And like I'd have to peel it back and clean it and then clean that and put it back on. And I did do what you referred to there a little bit, take it off, watch some videos or something and put it back on. And I was like, well, it got to be annoying. And so I just left it on. But yeah, that's what, and again, that's, still a nice product, but I just haven't put it back on because of
it's great. I am noticing now that we're talking about this.
The screen.
I'm noticing that it's starting to the actual cover itself. One of the edges is the little plastic thing's starting to peel up. So I might be in the market.
But I do like that it was magnetic along the edges.
Amazing.
So it was a little easier to, you didn't have to mess with it too much.
The way it works is
a little bit of alignment.
Yeah.
So, still think it's really nice. I just haven't put mine back on. And I wrote with the pencil for a long time before I had that. So, and I've never really struggled with it much. So I don't.
Fair.
Yeah. Yep.
That's fair.
So that's what I had with that.
Well, you can send me yours.
Anything else you want? Yeah, it'll be a backup. in case you need it.
I don't think there's anything else. I think we've tortured you these last many weeks with kind of long episodes. So I think we can kick this one to the curb and call it a day, unless there's something else you want to talk about, Tom.
No, nothing pressing. I think we'll look forward to the Apple event sometime here in September with the new phones and watches, release of new operating systems. So, of course, we'll be going in on that. We've got some guests lined up to come on the show, too. So lots of good stuff coming up.
Yeah, excellent. All right. So as a reminder, feedback at basicafshow.com. You can email us, love, write reviews, like actual reviews on, give us many stars and tell us how much you love us or hate us. We don't care. Just show us that you're paying attention to us, please. On any of those apps. And you can message us directly either from the basicafshow.com website, or you can get us at the bottom of your favorite podcasting app. There's a way to send a text message to us. So feel free to do that as well. Show music, Psychokinetics, and show artwork, Randall Martin Design. And Tom, I think that's us.
All right. That is it. As always, thank you so much for being here. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your night. We'll see you next time.
See ya.